Look at that fucking skyline. Look at that. It's beautiful. If you look really close into the distance, that big flashing tower, that's the Burj Khalifa. That's the highest building in the world. That's pretty crazy. Fuck, I've never been in a place like this before. Alright, so, Lucario and Chris have just been, I've joked, in previous episodes about the homoeroticism of their relationship, but it's no longer undertones, really, it's more, overtones. It's, Lucario's, tickling Chris on their bed, which is, I don't know, is kind of weird. Let's see. So, when Chris was given a chance to catch his breath at last, Lucario laughed heartily and got off from the bed to return to his spot at the side. My goodness, Lucario, what got into you? I can't get over this, Chris asked, wiping his eyes.
You need to be happy,
Lucario said, looking over his shoulder at him.
It's one of my duties to see that you are happy. I not only protect you from physical harm, but emotional harm as well. I am the Aura Pokemon after all.
He saw Chris reaching out for his head and stroked the black skin in the middle of his ears. Lucario closed his eyes and just enjoyed the gesture with a few low growls. I only need to have you to feel happy when I need to, Chris muttered loud enough for the Lucario to hear. Thank you for being so nice to me.
I learn from the best,
his partner said with a smile, earning another rubbing motion on his head. Which head we're talking about here? I already made that joke in the past. Who gives a shit?
We get to sightsee these other worlds, Chris. With me around, you will get to enjoy your travels. Our travels, sorry. Never forget that motivation.
You're right, Chris said with more optimism. I need to stop thinking everything will get harder. It will only get harder the more I get scared into doing nothing. This was our first venture and it didn't exactly go right because we're beginners. Next one, I swear I will enjoy it. Lucario nodded.
As will I.
The human yawned suddenly and adjusted himself on the bed. Thanks, Lucario. I can go to sleep without worries now. So, good night, Lucario.
Good night, Chris.
Lucario yawned and fully opened his fanged mouth before trying to fall asleep. Himself with his trainer. Several minutes when Chris had fallen asleep, Lucario opened one eye and stared back at him sleeping soundly. Without waking him up, Lucario turned to the left and pulled his trainer under his left arm to his side, lying down his cheek on his head for comfort. Subconsciously, Chris smiled in his sleep, and Lucario looked happy as he got to be real close to him to give him a sense of protection. Securing safety in his trainer's sleep, the Aura Pokemon fell asleep and made a mental note to wake up before Chris did so he wouldn't know about the move. That's kind of creepy. The quiet night went on in peaceful silence for them. Lobby. But not for the two hands of the mansion floating about in the lobby, deep in thought. So, we saw how murderous our second Lucario can be like, Master Hand told Crazy Hand. I understand having such tremendously powerful hound in our team will make things easier, but this is a team effort. He is not doing this alone. Why aren't you so sure about just spamming Lucario on Taboo's butt? Crazy Hand said. 1, that sounds dirty. Why'd you write it then? 2, I'm not surprised that it came from you. And 3, we got an extra team member with no battle experience along for the ride, Master Hand said, raising a finger for each point. Sooner or later, he will notice getting experience from battles means squat when he can just toss his jackal of death on the enemy. He'll be lucky to finish a sentence while doing it, he sighed. Look, this is bad. What if, very much later on, Lucario is put out of commission from something, and by then his trainer hasn't had any combat experience, other than just saying one-liners. If everyone was like him, I wouldn't worry. As how everything stands, the issue is bound to happen someday, and it may cost us the war. He snapped his fingers. That is why I will personally depower Lucario behind his back. What? Oh, man. What? Crazy Hand trailed off. You're gonna nerf him without telling him. I'll just leave his impressive height intact with some extra power, but not his full power, the hand explained. I'm not telling him I will depower him. Telling him straight on the face without having built a trustful relationship is just asking him to beat me up. I thought you had godlike powers. Why would you let him do that? We'll just make up a story about how Taboo got word of him and used his powers to keep him at bay from being a threat. You think that's gonna work? Yeah, fantasy is out of whack in these universes, his sane brother said. Any fantastic theory is bound to be real to these guys. You're right on that, Crazy Hand said. But what else are we going to do for tomorrow? You sure they can handle another mission with a nerfed Super Lucario this time? I'll be honest. They are dead even if we convince the now unaware amnesiac Pichu to tag along, Master Hand admitted. Optimism only gets you so far. They need more backup, but our choices are... they don't exist. No one is ready to assist in the fight. They are all too busy retreading the past up to the present point. Except 2 people. Master Hand stopped moving around. What? What 2 people? He questioned. Not the ones we have here, Crazy. Not them, Crazy Hand said. Those other 2. Who are those people you're talking about? Those guys. Tell me. Ice, baby. What? Okay. What? Crazy, we don't have time for riddles. Just tell me who. Master Hand solved the riddle in his head anyway. Oh. Oh, I see. Wow, we do have reserves ready. I'm amazed, Crazy. You came up with something smart to say. How did you think that? It is only logical for the minds that are not constantly... Oh, ice baby. I guess he means ice climbers. Oh, that's why he said... okay. That's why AuraChannelerChris mentioned that he wanted to play a sequel to Ice Climber at the start of the chapter. Because the reserves he's talking about are the Ice Climbers. It is only logical for the minds that are not constantly distracted by the many events that they try to keep up with to find other methods of solving the intricate issues that those other minds try to tirelessly solve at the same time without that clear answer lessening the work. Master Hand fell silent until he said, You frighten me so. Aptly put. Oh, stop it. You're clearly messing with me with all that wordy talk, the sane brother said. The insane brother nodded. All right, we do have reserves at the ready. I will immediately get into contact with them and hope they'll be willing to join the fray as soon as possible. Cross your fingers they do. The hands nodded to each other and went their separate ways in the big building. The next day, Chris's room. Morning sunlight was not really any different than the real world's, nor were the sound of the chirping birds waking the sleeping duo. Having sharper senses even while a little drowsy, Lucario quickly pulled himself away from the yawning Chris to avoid suspicion. The teenager stopped yawning and shuffled the bedsheets a bit until he was awake enough to tell anything around his surroundings without raising his head yet. What? Yes, this was not his room, his bed, or his house. It was a fantastic dream, very much real. Good morning, said Lucario, spotted leaning where he was last time Chris was awake. Good morning, Chris said, yawning again. Oh God, it wasn't a dream. Ugh.
The fact we had adventures, or the fact you were dreaming something else?
The first one. He sat next to Lucario and subconsciously scratched his guardian's head. Lucario did not mind it any. It's going to be our first proper day in this new place. Too bad it's supposedly all empty with just us, the hands, and... Oh, Pichu, he recalled. Why do I keep forgetting about Pichu?
Too many problems stressing our heads, Lucario pointed out. You can focus on him today.
Yes, and I'll get to meet someone new, Chris said, mildly excited at the prospect of meeting a new character. This is actually exciting, Lucario. You'll finally get to talk to someone like you.
I wish it had been a Hitmonlee instead.
Lucario got a chop to the head. He was only hurt emotionally.
What?
Stop being stereotypical and let's take a shower to go meet that Pichu already, Chris scolded, getting up from bed and ready to take a shower to appear formal by the little rodent. Oh, to the little rodent. Why did I say by? I don't know. Just as he was about to enter the bedroom, several knocking sounds came from the door, stopping him in his tracks. Lucario got up from the floor and went to the door.
Who is it?
Lucario asked. It's the Ice Climbers, I imagine. But we'll have to find out next time